Hi there, Super Psy Guy. I hear you've gotten yourself in a bit of hot water with other people on the internet, and it's preventing you from producing hours upon hours upon hours of hilarious family-friendly content. But don't worry, I'm here to help you get your brand recognition back on track. The first thing we need to do is identify what exactly it is that you did, or people think that you did, and adjust the following steps accordingly. Looks like you're being accused of sexually and mentally abusing and harassing people, including minors. That's a bit of a tricky one. It's gonna take a few more steps than usual. Normally, you could just wait a week or two and the internet, with its collective memory of a goldfish, would forget all about it. This is gonna take a little while. So the first thing we should do is try and blame all of your actions on something else. Mental illnesses are an easy first step for that. People love to blame things on mental illnesses, especially on the internet. They are really sympathetic to that plight. Of course, don't actually tell people that you had a mental illness about it. Say that you've been going to therapy. This way it makes it just sound like you had a mental illness and you were already actively trying to work on it. It makes people feel like you're brave and that you couldn't possibly have controlled all of those horrible things that you did. Of course, we can't immediately tell people about you going to therapy. No, we need to lie low for a while. The internet's probably still a bit upset about all of that, and they might want you to go away forever. But that's not true. You don't have to go away forever. Just 70 or 80 years until all the people that were affected by it are long dead. So in that time, you might as well try and build up some more positive press for yourself. The best way to do this, since you've already decided to blame things on a mental illness, is also to go to prison. Now, since you probably did something wrong, go to the police and get them to charge you and send you to prison for it. I know what you're thinking, that sounds a bit unorthodox, but don't worry, here's the secret. You're not actually going to go to prison for it. You're just going to tell them about what you're doing and how it's all a PR spin. That way they'll make your time in prison very, very comfortable. You'll still have to go to prison, it's an unfortunate reality of the fact, but you'll be very, very comfortable. Basically like a vacation. You'll have free accommodation and regular meals, and you won't have to think about the IRS for at least 20 years. Once you get out of prison, you've got to think of a few more positive things that you can talk about. And once you've got all of those, and we've fast forwarded to the end of that time that you're going to wait, it's time to make your comeback. And the best way to do this, of course, with everything on the internet, is to make a very, very, very long and detailed blog post. Talk about all these things that you thought about to generate positive PR. Things like how you've gone to therapy. Also think of working in things like how these problems have been persisting since childhood because your family was just a horrible family that you had to deal with, and that people will think that you're very strong for having to put up with all of that and try and function as a regular human being after everything. It's a great tactic, don't worry, it works all the time. Also be sure to mention to them how you did go to prison, even though you technically did nothing wrong. After all, you were never charged for anything originally and no evidence was found, so that means that you didn't actually do anything, and yet you still went to prison. What a noble soul. People will be very sympathetic towards that, and at the same time, they'll also think that anyone who accused you was horrible for doing so, and sending you to prison in spite of the fact that you didn't need to go there. It's perfect. Of course, all of this positive spin isn't going to mean much, because if at least one person is still around who actually remembers anything that you did, all of the words in the world aren't going to help unless you have that all-important thing, an apology. Now, don't actually put it at the start of the blog post or at the end of the blog post, because that draws attention to it. Instead, bury it somewhere in the middle so that people know that you said sorry, but they don't actually remember what you said. This also ties into the next point, where you can't actually apologize for anything specific. Be very vague and use a lot of words so that people get confused and tired of reading. Now, most people might think that you should apologize for your actions, but that's entirely incorrect. I can see how you would think that, but just follow me on this. You never got charged for anything originally. There was no evidence found that you did anything, because you obviously didn't do anything. So that means instead of apologizing for your actions, you should apologize that those other people took offense. That makes people realize that it was those other people who were in the wrong. They were horrible people, sending you off to prison and making you endure such awful experiences just because they couldn't take a simple joke or 70. Finally, you want to wrap up the blog post. The best way to do this is by talking about how you just want to move on. You want to put all of the bad stuff behind you. Don't actually be specific about the bad stuff, just say that everything that happened was on the exact same level of bad. and that you want to put it behind you and just move on and go on to have more fun podcasts with people and video game videos on YouTube. And that way, if anyone doesn't move on, it's their fault. They're the ones who can't move on. And there you have it. Just follow these simple steps. Super PsyGuy, and you can avoid all of this potential chaos and get back to making fun, family-friendly content for everyone on the internet. Yes, in just 70 or 80 years, I'm sure people will forget what a horrible, 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 horrible person you are. And how you denied everything that you did while continuing to do it. And how you blamed all of the people trying to speak out against it. I am so sure people will forget that.